Good evening, I'm Dagan McDowell.
And I'm Sean Duffy. Welcome to The Bottom Line.
Let's get right to a culture of corruption. That's how House Speaker Kevin McCarthy characterized the conduct of President Joe Biden earlier today when McCarthy announced the opening of an impeachment inquiry into the president. Watch.
Through our investigations, we have found that President Biden did lie to the American people about his own knowledge of his family's foreign business dealings. That's why today I am directing our House committee to open a formal impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. This logical next step will give our committees the full power to gather all the facts and answers for the American public.
And the Democrats' hypocrisy was on full display, immediately pouncing on the announcement, painting the GOP as extreme for pursuing impeachment. Watch this.
This is the extremist Republicans trying to figure out how they can use the business of the American people, doing the work we're supposed to do, as leverage to try to improve their political position. These extremists are here to do nothing more than get Donald Trump reelected.
It's the Chaos Caucus. Just take a deep breath and try to get past this bunch of crazy MAGA extremist Republicans in the Chaos Caucus.
Yeah, the Chaos Caucus. Let's not forget that these are the same people who impeached President Trump not once, but twice. And that's extreme?
Well, chaos is also how you could describe people's financial position at home. But McCarthy's announcement did come as a bit of a surprise. Just a week and a half ago, he told Breitbart News, quote, "If we move forward with an impeachment inquiry, it would occur through a vote on the floor of the People's House and not through a declaration by one person." But McCarthy didn't follow through with the floor vote before the announcement. And when asked by reporters if he had the votes this afternoon, he said, quote, "Pretty much, yeah," which means pretty much no.
Well, let's dive into this a little bit further. We have Fox News legal analyst Gregg Jarrett standing by. Greg, good to see you. So I think we've all seen this play out. Republicans have done a great job over the last 8 months since they've had control of the House. We've seen the FBI sitting on their hands in regard to the Bidens, not willing to investigate Joe or Hunter. How is this impeachment inquiry going to play out? Do you think it's going to bear fruit?
Well, I think we're going to have to wait and see. But if the Oversight Committee's progress is any indication, then the answer is yes, because they've come up with incriminating evidence implicating Joe Biden as directly complicit in his son's influence peddling schemes with foreign adversaries. I mean, the elder Biden was meeting personally with Hunter's overseas clients, had dinner with them, spoke by telephone with them on roughly 20 occasions, probably more. And recently we found out he was coordinating with his son's partners into trying to cover up the Burisma scandal. And all the while, the president lied by insisting that he knew nothing at all about the nefarious deals and never played a role in them. That farce, of course, was destroyed by Hunter's partner, Devon Archer.
But, Greg, this is just this is an impeachment inquiry just in name alone. And this is actually exactly what Nancy Pelosi did initially back in 2019. She launched an impeachment inquiry without at first putting it to a full floor vote in the House. And it will just essentially call it an impeachment, but it still progresses as what Comer and Jordan were doing in oversight and judiciary, respectively.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin McCarthy has had to backtrack because he didn't have the votes. So he didn't go for a floor vote for the inquiry. He simply followed the precedent set by Nancy Pelosi by unilaterally ordering it. Of course, in the second failed impeachment, she didn't even bother with any of that. She didn't even hold any public hearings or an inquiry, just went immediately to a vote to impeach. But I mean, look, he didn't have the votes, so, he did what he thought he had to do because he's looked at the evidence. And you heard him say today as he recited it, these bank records show $20 million funneled into a web of shell companies for the Bidens that had no other purpose than to conceal the source of the cash. What's that? Well, Sean, as a prosecutor, you know what that is. That's money laundering, and then banks flagged 150 suspicious activity reports involving the Biden, riches pouring in from Russia, China, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, Romania, all these countries over which Vice President Joe Biden was exercising influence during the Obama administration. So, there is compelling evidence that Biden used his influence for enrichment to the family.
So the key point, though, is to Dagan's point, I don't think that you actually have much change in regard to the impeachment when you go to the inquiry. What you do have is a little more force and weight to the subpoenas, and this is going to be about getting information, getting records that you're going to have a lot of banks that don't want to give them over. And so the force and weight of the subpoena will be increased when you've launched an impeachment inquiry. But I want to get to this because it's not only House Republicans launching the impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden, they're also looking into whether Hunter Biden's legal team pressured the Justice Department to prosecute 2 IRS whistleblowers who testified in front of Congress earlier today. House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jim Jordan, along with Oversight Chairman James Comer and Ways and Means Chairman Jason Smith, they sent a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland requesting more information about the, quote, brazen efforts to intimidate and harass the whistleblowers. I mean, Greg, if you follow the law, this is shocking that you have Hunter Biden's lawyers going after the whistleblowers. But it seems like if you blow the whistle on Democrats, it's open season on you.
Oh, I think you're absolutely right, Sean. It's unconscionable, and I think it's unethical as a lawyer to be issuing threats and intimidation like this towards whistleblowers who are following the law. And apparently in these letters sent by Hunter Biden's lawyers, they were demanding the Department of Justice investigate and prosecute these whistleblowers, claiming they were violating the law. They weren't violating the law. They followed the whistleblower law to a T, which provided them with protection for just this kind of retaliation. And nevertheless, it has happened to them. So, I think that Congress needs to get to the bottom of this. Frankly, I think action should be taken against Hunter Biden's legal team for this.
Well, Hunter Biden's legal team and the Department of Justice were on the same side when they were cobbling together that plea deal. And they weren't adversaries. And David Weiss, according to reporting in the New York Times, never had any notion of charging Hunter Biden. He was just going to absolutely drop it until the whistleblowers came along. And so this is the attitude of these Biden lawyers. They think they can get away with this.
Right, because they know that David Weiss, the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, now special counsel appointed by Merrick Garland, they know he's a member of their defense team. He has been acting in concert to protect Hunter Biden. That's exactly why Garland appointed him. This is more of a cover-up, and the fix is in, not just to protect Hunter Biden, but to protect Joe Biden, who, as I said earlier, is complicit in his son's influence peddling schemes. That's what the evidence has shown so far. Frankly, if Democrats are sincere in their claims that, Joe Biden's innocent, they should welcome this sort of an investigation. But the trouble is, they don't believe it. They've seen with their own eyes the compelling evidence of wrongdoing. So now they're going to simply obstruct and resist and do everything they can to shut this down. Joe Biden will do the same thing. If Kevin McCarthy thinks that an inquiry committee is the apex of authority to obtaining enforcement of subpoenas, I think he's wrong.
Well, we'll see. And again, you watch how people behave when they're under pressure. That might indicate whether they are guilty or innocent. It's interesting to watch Hunter Biden's lawyers play out against these whistleblowers. Gregg Jarrett, always a pleasure. Thanks for joining us.
Yes.